Let's break down the storyline and go back to the start where we started from. So this was the Defence Force housing. It's their housing near the barracks. So what they do every 15 years, they do a gut renovation. They gut the whole house out and they put a new kitchen in, new closets in, new carpet in, new tiles. Pretty much they gut out the bathrooms. Everything's new inside, new paint job. What they do outside, they pretty much paint the outside. They strip out all the garden, put all new gardens in. They put all new fences in, and then that's it. The only thing they're not doing is painting the roofs. Like they've done everything else. They'll do a whole bunch of demo to the outside of the walls and fix up anything that's rotten or something. But the only thing they're not doing is repainting the roof, which is insane because they've pretty much done everything else. So a lot of the roofs are heavily oxidized. Fair enough. So this is what happens. I was approached by the bond cleaner that was doing the projects. He quoted to pressure wash the outside of the buildings. He read the scope of works that the government sent out. The scope of works was to rinse down the house and to clean the pathways. So that was the scope of works. So he put $600 per house because he was going to do it himself. He was going to put $600 per house on each one of these. The first stage was 6 houses, so we went in and did this first 6. To get to realize the scope of work changed when he first did the quote. So that was the first warning that in the scope of works, the painter was doing the prep work for the house. So he was washing the house ready for the repaint. So we were basically coming in to spray water on the house to rinse down on any dirt or debris that was caused by the landscapers. Just get rid of the basic, just a pre-building cleanup. So that's what we were doing. So then he ended up doing his ass on the first 6 because he had to pay me to come in and do a complete clean on the whole house. The whole sides were green, they were moldy. The roof was oxidized. It had algae on the roof. And so the roof was added in. The gutters were added into the initial quote. So everything went upside down with that initial thing. So he went in thinking, all right, well, I'll take a loss on the first stage and then we'll quote the second stage because the second stage is 15 houses and it got bumped up to 20 houses. So the second stage was 50,000. So we come in and we quoted $2,000 per house to do the work that was required, what the scope of works was. So what happened was, so there's the main builder that's doing the contracting, and then he's employed 2 other builders, one to do the building work and one to do the landscaping and cleaning. So one was handling the landscaping, bond cleaning, and the exterior cleaning. So pretty much there's 3 different builders. So by the time I put my $2,000 price on, my bond cleaner, which is who I was employed through, put 10% on my price. So my $2,000 turned into $2,200. And then the builder himself put 15% on top of my price. So then it turned to $2,600. And then the builder that's controlling the job put their 15% on top of my quote. So my $2,000 job had $1,000 worth of add-on costs for people making a phone call. So the main building company that engaged the whole contract or won the whole contract, their jobs started going over budget, like the building costs, because rain delays and things going wrong. So what they did is like, oh, well, we need to start cutting costs. So this cutting cost on cleaning, cutting cost on the washing, cutting cost on the painting. But they don't realize the scope of works from the government dictates a certain level of quality of work that they require. But, everybody wants to go for the cheapest price. So they found somebody to come in and clean the whole houses again for $600. I'm like, good luck for them. They're going to lose their ass on 20 odd houses. So I'm happy that I still got paid for the first 6. So I still got $3,500 for the first 6 to go in and do that. But it's losing $50,000 on the contract is pretty bad, considering you went the extra mile to make sure that the first stage was done properly, even though you lost a bit of money on that stage. So it sucks, but you got to realize when you start to get into these bigger jobs and you got so many building contractors over top of you, they're always going to put a percentage on top of your contract. So I don't like to snake the competition and say, right, let's just go straight for the main builder. This is my price. So then you lose $800 worth of commissions in the middle there. So it's a big loss for everybody, because the person above me and the person above me lose out on their little chunk of money. I lose out on my chunk of money. But at the end of the day, pretty happy not to do the job, because it was just a big dick around. It was like the builders were all over the place. They were never organized. You'd rock up to a job to do, because you'd want to go in and wash 2 houses, because you have to have a spotter on the ground, because it's a 2-story house. You have to harness up. So there's a lot of rigmarole and safety guidelines that you have to abide by. So you really need 2 houses per visit, and then you rock up to a house and they're still ripping down the walls on the house and stuff. So nothing was organized. So it was advantage for me not to get messed around again. But this is what happens on these building contracts. If you go to take jobs like this, realize people are going to put money on top of your jobs. And that if you're going for the highest price possible, you're possibly going to lose that contract due to the builder putting 10, 15, 20% on top of your job. So just a learning curve. I already knew that was happening, but I didn't realize the builders above me were putting another percentage on me, which is just ridiculous. You wonder why government jobs don't get done, because they're putting a percentage on every single guy down the line. So, we had 2 builders off the main builder. It was just recipe for disaster. So, but that's what happens, I suppose. So we lost that Defence Force contract. It doesn't really worry us, because we didn't really have it booked in or anything. We were still waiting on confirmation, and we got the confirmation and we lost it. So we move on. We still got 4 weeks booked out, and we're quoting for the 6 jobs a day. So we're not too worried about that one. That was more of a hassle. There was more racing and running around for that job than you would ever imagine, working with builders and stuff. But I hope it helps some of you new guys out there that don't understand the industry. And this is what happens with builders. Builders always want to put a little percentage on to make a phone call. I was always, if I engage another contractor to do a job for me, whether it's plumber or electrician to fix something on a house, I'll put 5% on that contract, but I won't put a lot of money on it. I'll put 5% to make my time, depends how much time you spend. Like if you got to go out to site, if it's a rental and you got to pick up the keys and stuff like that, well, yeah, you got to put some extra money on top of that to cover your costs. But if you're only making a phone call, just put a small percentage on it, 5%, and call it a management fee. Don't try and get that big price on your management fee, because you'll probably end up losing the job, because they'll always go for the cheaper price, because somebody wants to save money somewhere and be the big man and say, right, well, we saved $100,000 on this job. Yeah, whoop-de-doo-dah. And somebody looks like they're gold, and then they get the next contract. So anyway, we got to go fix another problem, and I'll film that, and it'll be on YouTube as well. Gotcha.